Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're doing a get ready with me for church. So, I've thought of something that I haven't told you about yet. I haven't told you about grief Nikes. So, if you're wondering, what are grief Nikes? Okay, so when Tom first died, I was like trying to figure out how to deal with my emotions and like how to deal with my grief. And I was very emotionally immature, so at the time. And so for a while, when he first died, I started buying grief Nikes. And I know that it sounds silly to think that like you can channel your grief into buying new Nikes, but that's what I did. And so for a while, like for about a year, I was just buying, I called them grief Nikes. I called them my grief Nikes. And so it was just like every month for a while, I would buy a new pair of Nikes. Because like I was grieving and I didn't know how to deal with my grief because I wasn't like emotionally mature enough to understand like how to deal with my emotions yet. And it was a very sudden death. So the first way that I started trying to deal with my grief was through buying grief Nikes. And so about every month for a while, I would buy a new pair of Nikes. And I called them my grief Nikes. So now my cupboard is like basically overflowing with Nikes. And like I can't even close the door of the cupboard because there are Nikes like falling out of it. Because I bought too many grief Nikes. And now my cupboard is basically like so full of Nikes that it won't even close. Hasn't closed for ages. Like you can see it's just like a little bit open. That's because it won't close because there are too many Nikes in there. Because they're my grief Nikes. So yeah. And then in time, you know, I went to therapy and I learned a lot about how to transmute your emotions and like how to cope with feelings and grief, and I emotionally matured somewhat, at least. So yeah, but for a while that was how I coped with my grief, by buying grief Nikes. It's actually really effective. Like for a poor coping strategy, it was actually really effective. Because like, how good does it feel having like a new pair of Nikes? So for a while, that feeling like band-aided over the grief a bit. Because like new Nikes every month band-aided over the grief a bit. How good does a fresh pair of Nikes feel? So yeah. Oh my goodness gracious me. What are we going to do with you? I've been thinking about like modern fame and how weird and different it is to how fame used to be. Because fame used to be like, famous people were never so accessible before. Like, famous people used to be kind of cordoned off from the public in a way, you know? But now it's just like a free-for-all. It's just like so different to how it used to be. Like, back in the day when people were famous, it was usually because they were in movies, or maybe they were musicians or something like that, but they were never like as accessible as they are today. Famous people were never as accessible as they are today, and I feel like that has kind of blurred the boundaries between like famous people and not famous people, because now like we have people who have YouTube channels and they're interacting with the upper echelons of society, you know? Like, we have YouTubers interviewing the Kardashians, and it's like you can get famous from just like in your own home. Like, you can get famous from your own living room or from your own bedroom, and it's really weird and different, you know? Famous people are far more accessible than they ever were before. Oh my goodness, there's a hair in my eyeball. Like, famous people used to have, like, there used to be a certain level of protection, you know? Like, a certain distance between the public and famous people. And now it's kind of like that distance has evaporated. And now I feel like there's way too much access to famous people. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, like, famous people used to be kind of untouchable. Like, fame used to be kind of this distant, unattainable fantasy. But now it's like every second person is famous. And isn't that so weird? Like, when someone you know has like 100,000 followers or something like that. Isn't it so weird? Remember that Black Mirror episode that basically predicted the future, and they were like, oh yeah, so in the future we are all going to like rank ourselves from like who has the most followers, and then if you have like 100,000 followers, you can only interact with other people who have 100,000 followers. And remember that Black Mirror episode? And now that's basically like, that's what's happening. Isn't that so weird? Don't you think? So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. Like, famous people used to have some level of protection by the mere fact that they couldn't really like, the public couldn't really like interact with them. But now you can like send a famous person a DM and they might read it, which is kind of like, well, I imagine it makes fame immeasurably more stressful. I imagine that accessibility of famous people in the modern age probably makes fame immensely more stressful than it used to be. And I'm sure that it was already immensely stressful. I also feel like the famous people that we do have in today's age are way more shameless than famous people have ever been. And also, like, it's getting harder and harder to pretend like you don't care about the attention and about the fame. Like, take for instance Madeline Argy. So she has like 1 million YouTube subscribers and Instagram followers, and she was dating Central Cee, and then he cheated on her with Ice Spice, because Ice Spice, I don't know if this is why, but like, it's notable that Ice Spice has about 12 million followers, and Central Cee has about 12 or 13 million followers. And like, is that why he cheated on Madeline Argy? Who knows? But my point is that fame is getting worse. Modern fame is kind of icky, kind of weird, kind of gross. It feels uncomfortable to be this close, like to have this much access to our famous people. Don't you think? It feels uncomfortable and icky and weird to me. And it's also harder to pretend like you don't care about the fame and the attention, you know? Because like, well, why are you filming a Get Ready With Me if you don't care about the fame and the attention? And like, why are we watching Get Ready With Me's, right? Who is watching Get Ready With Me's? I don't know. These are all valid questions. And so, thank you for getting ready with me for church today. You're beautiful. You're perfect. I love you. God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.